You have been taught to look outward for power. You have been conditioned by the subtle lullabies of the world to search the shifting faces of circumstance, hoping to catch a glimmer of your true self reflected back. But within the silent chambers of antiquity, there stands a door one inscribed with the ancient words, "All is mind." Thoth, keeper of forgotten mysteries, whispers that every world, every wonder, every sorrow and triumph is but a thought clothed in matter. Reality is not something happening to you. It is something happening through you as you. Pause for a moment. Imagine the universe as an endless ocean, not of water, but of mind. Each thought is a ripple, and every belief a current shaping the shorelines of your experience. The stars, the seasons, the faces you love, even the secret fears that sometimes grip you at midnight, all arise first within the vastness of consciousness. What you see outside is a shadow play, a dance of forms animated by the light of your awareness. This is not mere poetry, nor an abstract comfort. It is the first and deepest law, a key offered to the seeker who wishes to awaken. Have you noticed on those rare mornings when you wake with hope that the world seems to conspire with you? Or how when the mind is troubled, the outer world appears to echo that turmoil? This is not coincidence. The mind is both the lamp and the canvas. The Hermetic sages taught the all is mind. The universe is mental. It means that reality is malleable. You are not a passive recipient of fate, but the silent architect of every unfolding moment. Like a dreamer becoming lucid within the dream, you are invited now to remember your authorship. But how does one awaken to this truth? How can you touch the hidden lever, the source behind appearances? Begin simply by noticing the quality of your thoughts. Not with judgment, but with gentle curiosity. Observe what stories your mind tells you in the quiet hours. Do they empower you or bind you? Are you creating from old wounds or from possibility? Your outer world is a faithful servant, forever arranging itself to match the images and emotions you nurture within. Consider a practical example. Imagine two travelers setting out on the same path. One moves with dread, expecting obstacles and betrayal. The other trusts, expecting guidance and hidden gifts. Though the path is the same, their experiences diverge like rivers. Each meets the world they have already constructed in mind. The traveler of dread finds only difficulty. The one of trust discovers synchronicity and kindness. The outer landscape bends to the inner map. If you wish to test this law, do so gently. For a single day, choose a thought to hold in your mind as an anchor, "I am supported," or "Life brings me beauty." Return to it whenever you remember. Watch with open eyes as reality reconfigures itself around this seed. Perhaps it will come as a small kindness from a stranger, a moment of laughter, or a sudden insight. In these tiny shifts, the universe tips its hand. You will glimpse the hidden machinery, the web of mind, humming with possibility. This is the first veil to be lifted, the recognition that you are not a mere actor upon a stage built by others, but the playwright, the director, and the light that reveals the scene. Every word, every gesture, every longing and fear arises from the invisible world within. The true work, then, is not to force the world into shape, but to tend the garden of your consciousness with loving awareness. The outer will follow. In this, the Hermetic path begins. If you listen closely, the world is always speaking in symbols. Every raindrop a memory, every sunrise an invitation. Beneath the clamor of surface events, a deeper current runs. As above, so below. As within, so without. This is the law of correspondence, and its echo can be heard in the old stories, the mirrored lakes, the recursive spirals of the nautilus shell. What you see outside is but the signature of what lives within. We have been trained to believe in separation, to think ourselves isolated, islands afloat in a vast and impersonal sea. But the Hermetic teachings, whispering through the centuries, offer another story that the universe is a living mirror reflecting our own states of being in every circumstance. Like two mirrors facing each other, the worlds above and below the visible and invisible endlessly reflect and magnify one another. Your inner life is not hidden from the cosmos. It is the blueprint upon which reality inscribes its patterns. Think of the symphony of your emotions, your quiet hopes and private despairs. Each feeling, each mental picture radiates outward, subtle but real, like the invisible ripples left by a stone tossed into still water. When you carry bitterness, the world tastes sharp. When you nurture gratitude, the smallest thing can set your heart aglow. This is not to blame or shame, but to awaken you to the creative power pulsing at the root of your being. Imagine a gardener tending her plot, not with anxious calculation, but with trust in the mystery of seeds. She knows that the world beneath the surface is alive, teeming with secret processes. She waters, she waits, she loves the invisible root as much as the blossom. So too are we called to tend our inner soil. What we plant there, thought, belief, emotion, rises inexorably to shape the visible world. There is practical magic here for anyone willing to try. The next time you encounter difficulty, pause. Withdraw for a moment from the urge to control or blame. Instead, turn gently inward. Ask, what in me is being reflected by this circumstance? Do not answer too quickly. Let the question deepen like rain soaking into parched earth. Perhaps you will find an old wound, a belief in scarcity, a forgotten hope, calling to be remembered. By shifting your inner stance through forgiveness, gratitude, or simple presence, you begin to shift the pattern itself. Let me share a quiet story. There was once a man burdened by endless conflict at work. No matter where he went, misunderstanding seemed to follow. Frustrated, he sought change by searching for new jobs, new colleagues, even moving to a new city. But the pattern persisted. One evening, exhausted, he turned within and asked, "What am I projecting outward?" He realized with a gentle ache that he carried old fears of not belonging inherited from childhood. When he began to hold himself with more kindness, to trust his own voice, the world around him softened. Relationships healed. New opportunities appeared. The mirrors had shifted. You are the cause and the effect, the observer and the observed. The law of correspondence is not a sentence, but an invitation. It asks, what do you wish to see in the world? Plant it first within. Practice seeing beauty in small places, offering compassion to yourself in quiet moments. Over time, you will notice the outer world reflecting these seeds back to you, sometimes in uncanny ways. If you wish to walk this path, make a daily ritual of inner reflection. Before sleep, review the day with gentle honesty. What did the world mirror to you? What did you see outside that echoes within? Offer gratitude for each reflection, knowing it is a lantern on the path of awakening. As above, so below. As within, so without. The world is your sacred echo calling you home. Life, if you listen with the heart rather than the ear, is a song played on the instrument of duality. Everywhere you turn, opposites dance. Day meets night. Joy touches sorrow. Hope emerges from despair. This is not a flaw in the design, but the secret heartbeat of creation itself. The Hermetic Law of polarity reveals that every truth is but half-truth. Every experience contains its own reversal, and every extreme calls forth its complement. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites, whispers. The Kybalion, and in this understanding lies profound liberation. At first, we recoil from life's polarities, longing for peace without turmoil, love without loss, certainty without confusion. We struggle against one side, idolizing the other, unaware that both are woven from the same invisible thread. Like two ends of a magnet, hot and cold light and shadow rise from a single undivided reality. The challenge and the invitation is not to escape the play of opposites, but to see through them, to recognize their hidden unity and the freedom it offers. Consider the image of a pendulum swinging gracefully from side to side. Each arc, whether high or low, is necessary for the other to exist. The deeper the sorrow, the greater the capacity for joy. The more profound the confusion, the richer the insight that follows. The wise do not resist emotion, but find stillness at the center. This is the secret of equanimity, to watch the dance of duality without being pulled apart by it. In daily life, duality shows up in the most intimate places in relationships and ambitions, even in the conversation between your doubts and dreams. You may experience times of abundance, followed by lack clarity replaced by uncertainty. Connection, alternating with loneliness. Often we make war with these opposites, wishing for the sweet without the bitter. But notice what happens when you soften your gaze and hold both sides gently. A new wisdom emerges quiet and golden born of embracing the totality of your experience. Let us imagine a young artist lost in the grip of self-doubt. Some days, inspiration flows effortlessly, colors leaping onto the canvas like sunlight. Other days, the well runs dry, and every brush stroke feels heavy. In the past, she would rage against her bad days, seeing them as failure-proof she was not enough. But as she learns of polarity, she begins to view these cycles as natural tides, part of a greater rhythm. She learns to rest in the valley, trusting that the peak will return. Her art deepens. She discovers beauty, even in struggle. The opposites, once enemies, become partners in her unfolding. Practically, you can begin to work with polarity by observing your reactions to extremes. When pleasure arises, savor it, but remember its transient nature. When pain comes, meet it with compassion, knowing it contains the seed of its own transformation. Neither is ultimate. Both are teachers. You might say to yourself, I allow both joy and sorrow. I trust the wisdom of the pendulum. In doing so, you step out of the tyranny of chasing one side and fearing the other. There is an even subtler practice to find the center point, the place of balance between opposites. In any moment of conflict or confusion, ask, what is the unity beneath these two poles? Sometimes this unity reveals itself as acceptance, as forgiveness, or as a sudden insight that both sides are needed for wholeness. This is the alchemy of consciousness, transforming life's tensions into spacious awareness. The law of polarity does not demand resignation, but invites mastery. It is a call to hold the world lightly, to celebrate the full spectrum of experience, and to rest in the silent witness that remains unchanged amidst every change. Like the still point at the heart of the turning wheel, your true self is found not in the swing of opposites, but in the awareness that beholds them both. Here in the heart of duality, you are already free. To live is to be an alchemist, though most forget their own laboratory. From the time of the ancients, the legend of turning lead into gold shimmered as both literal quest and living metaphor. Spiritual alchemy, the art of transmutation, is the hermetic invitation to transform suffering into wisdom, fear into power, limitation into liberation. The secret is not escape from the world, but a gentle turning inward, where the base elements of your experience are refined in the crucible of consciousness. Each person carries their own lead memories, too heavy to lift regrets that cling the weight of dreams deferred or wounds unhealed. These raw materials, often scorned, are in fact the keys to your treasure. The Hermeticist does not run from pain or deny its presence. Instead, they become the loving observer, learning to see all things as potential gold. In the glow of this new seeing, suffering is not a curse, but an invitation to the deeper mystery. Picture the process of transmutation not as violent force, but as a slow unfolding, like the way winter gradually yields to spring, or how darkness softens before the dawn. The alchemist meets their pain with presence, allowing it to breathe, to speak, to teach. They ask, what is this experience asking me to become? Every wound contains a hidden instruction. Every sorrow, its own remedy, if only you dare to listen. There was once a woman whose life seemed marked by repeated betrayal. In every relationship, she encountered disappointment, as if fated to relive the same old script. In despair, she turned to the ancient teachings. Through meditative self-inquiry, she discovered a pattern within herself, a deep-rooted belief in unworthiness inherited like a family heirloom. She did not reject this part, nor try to banish it. Instead, she held it in awareness, offered it compassion, and began to write new words over the old story. Over time, the gold began to appear. Trust bloomed. New healthy relationships entered her life. The outer transmuted as the inner did. This is the subtle art to become a furnace of presence where all that is raw and rough is gently refined. The first step is radical acceptance, not resignation, but acknowledgement that what is. When you bring awareness to a pain or fear without fleeing or fighting, its grip loosens. Like lead exposed to the right elements, it softens and yields. The next step is intention asking what you wish to create, what lesson or quality you desire to distill from the raw material. Perhaps you seek courage from your fear, wisdom, from your sorrow, freedom from your limitation. Practical alchemy can take many forms. In moments of distress, pause and name what you feel. Breathe into it, as if your awareness were sunlight melting ice. Ask, what is the higher expression of this experience? Let the answer arise softly without force. Sometimes it comes as a shift in perspective, a newfound compassion, a surprising insight. Write it down, anchor it in ritual, or express it in some small, embodied way, a conversation, a letter, a gesture of kindness. Each act is a grain of gold proof of your alchemical power. The Kybalion reminds us to change your mood or mental state, change your vibration. This is not to deny the reality of pain, but to recognize your ability to choose your frequency, to tune your awareness toward a higher note. You are not condemned to replay old stories forever. The laboratory is always open. The tools are yours to use. As you practice, life's difficulties begin to reveal their gifts. The patterns that once bound you become ladders, the obstacles doorways. You learn to see the world not as a prison, but as a field for transformation. A sacred fire in which your true gold is forged. In this way, you become both the alchemist and the gold, the seeker, and the treasure radiant with the light of your own becoming. There comes a time in the seeker's journey when the spiral turns inward and the restless quest for answers falls quiet. After all the teachings and trials, the real secret is revealed not in distant tomes or hidden temples, but in the silent presence within yourself. This is the last hermetic key, the power of the observer, the still awareness that beholds all things without judgment or clinging. It is here in a seat of presence that true mastery begins, a mastery not over the world, but over your own consciousness, your own attention. Pause, if only for a breath. Notice the silent witness that looks out from behind your eyes, the one who has watched every thought, every joy and sorrow, every dream and disappointment without ever being diminished. This silent I am remains untouched by the passing drama of events, unchanged by the swirling currents of hope and fear. It is the foundation upon which every experience arises and dissolves. The Hermeticists called this the secret fire, the point of pure consciousness, the doorway to true freedom. Quantum mystics echo this wisdom, suggesting that the mere act of observation shapes reality, collapsing the waves of possibility into the forms you experience. You are both the observer and the observed, the dreamer and the dream. As you come to rest in this quiet center, a new kind of power is born, a gentle sovereignty. No longer swept helplessly along by circumstances or reactive moods, you find the capacity to choose your responses, to create rather than merely react. Consider a simple moment from daily life, the sound of rain against your window, the warmth of a loved one's hand, the rising of anxiety in your chest. Ordinarily, these experiences trigger a cascade of thoughts and emotions, judgments, stories, identifications. But when you pause and observe, you become the sky instead of the passing clouds. You realize that awareness itself is never disturbed, even as its contents constantly change. With practice, you can meet every moment as the silent witness. The next time you feel anger, fear, or longing, try this. Instead of being swept away, notice the sensation. Breathe. Acknowledge it without naming it as good or bad. Watch as it rises, peaks, and fades. The power of presence is like a gentle hand loosening the knots of reactivity and opening the space for insight. In this open field, new choices become possible. From this center, all hermetic laws return home. Mind is seen as the primal ground correspondence, as the play of reflection polarity, as the movement of energy, and transmutation as the unfolding of potential. But presence, simple radiant presence, is the key that unlocks them all. It allows you to step outside the hall of mirrors and taste the reality behind appearances, the freedom that is always already yours. Let us remember the wisdom of the ancient sages. He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery. But this mastery is not a victory over the world. It is the quiet realization that you are the world, that nothing is truly separate from the consciousness in which it appears. The invitation, then, is simple but profound. Make it a daily practice to return to this observing presence, especially in the small, ordinary moments. Notice the breath, the weight of your body, the touch of life as it passes through you. In the midst of chaos, let your awareness rest in the silent witness. You are not the waves, but the ocean. You are not the storm, but the space in which the storm arises and subsides. When you forget, gently return. When you remember, rest deeper. This is the path of the living alchemist, to abide in the heart of presence, to create with intention, and to awaken moment by moment from the dream of separation. Here in the sanctuary of your own awareness, the illusion falls away, and the gold of reality is revealed. In the gentle silence that follows these words, let your awareness linger, like the hush just before dawn, or the breath between tides. You have journeyed through the ancient hermetic keys, each one unlocking a door within yourself. The mind as the root of reality, the world as your mirror, the dance of opposites, the alchemy of transformation, and the abiding power of presence. These are not merely teachings to ponder, but invitations to live more deeply, to walk each day as a conscious creator, awake in the dream. Remember, you are both the question and the answer, the artist and the canvas. When you turn inward, tending your thoughts and feelings, with gentle curiosity, the universe responds in kind, echoing your inner shifts in the music of the outer world. There will still be tides and seasons, joys and losses, but now you carry the philosopher's stone within your heart. With each breath, you can choose to see the gold beneath the dust, the unity behind the apparent chaos. So as you close your eyes tonight, or rise to greet a new day, let the hermetic wisdom move quietly in you. Practice presence. Meet life's polarities with an open heart. Tend your inner garden. And above all, remember the silent observer within, ever free, ever creative, ever one with the all. If these words have stirred something within you, I invite you to linger, to share your own reflections, or to return whenever your spirit seeks a gentle reminder. May you walk forward, not as a seeker lost in illusion, but as the awakened alchemist, present powerful and profoundly at home in the mystery.